You joined us for Rain of Blood, and together we made it rain bigger and better than we could have ever imagined. So now, join us for a second blazing inferno of knowledge and exploration. You're listening to Rain of Fire, the scorching sequel event to Rain of Blood, where we're going to delve into the world of fire play education and safety as we prepare for the upcoming Rain of Fire event. Join your host, Miss Kitten, Radically Dark, and Ember Solaris as we ignite your curiosity and stoke the flames of passion with discussions, interviews, and authentic insights from around the globe. Together, we're three flames united in one mission to make quality kink education more accessible and open pathways to conversation and connection about edgeplay topics around the world. But before we dive into these sizzling topics, a content warning. Rain of Fire discusses mature themes, explicit content, and practices related to BDSM and fireplay. So listener discretion is advised, and this is an adult-only podcast. Other topics may include mental health, trauma, consent, and more. So please be sure you're in a good spot to engage in these topics before continuing to listen. So, grab your fire gear, stoke the flames of curiosity, and let's embark on this crackling journey together. Welcome to Rain of Fire.
Hey, amazing fire starters, and welcome to another podcast from Rain of Fire. We're so excited. We're getting closer to our event. My dogs are excited this morning too. We're getting closer to our event, and we're starting to get our presenters in to chat to you about what they're doing and who they are. And I'm really excited. I have Sprinkles, who I finally managed to connect with this morning. And welcome, Sprinkles, and thank you so much for chatting to me.
Thank you for having me on. I love any opportunity to just expound and just verbalize all of my thoughts. You run a fire event. I do fire. It's like I am a moth to your flame, so to speak.
I was speaking to one of the Dutch girls, and she was saying to me, fire attracts insects, an audience, and photographers. So I like your moth to the flame reference.
We all make the same joke. Oh no, we're all the same person, aren't we?
You are. So I thought like I've got a big smile in my face because I was like, I know that one. So we're obviously talking about fire. It's not like a secret. But maybe you can tell our audience how you got started a little bit in kink and how fire came into your world in kink.
Okay, so I got started in kink specifically, or just wait, in kink broadly first, correct?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so I got interested in kink broadly. It was something I was always fascinated by conceptually since I saw it in pop culture growing up as a child. It was just always something that like lit up. It was so automatic to me that I thought that this was something that just everybody was into this. I thought everybody wanted to be tied up or wanted to tie people up and wanted to be hit or hit people and experience the things that we enjoy during power exchange and other exchanges. And as soon as I found out that a form of community existed well into my adulthood, because that's just something that wasn't easy to find out when I was in my late teens and early 20s. As soon as I found out that it was a real thing that you could actually go and experience with a formal group of people, I went straight out into it. And so I got very involved in my local scene. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, and in the United States. And sorry, I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada in the United States. Oh, right. So yeah, as soon as I found the formal community, I said, okay, I'm going to get as involved as I could. I started going to classes. I started helping run my local TNG group. I started helping run events and started helping run classes. At one point, my TNG class or TNG group At one point, my TNG group put on a fire play class, and I learned my first basic fire massage lesson. And they called it fire play at the time, and I now call it fire massage. We all have different words for the different kinds of fire play we do. And I was just so captivated. I kept doing it over and over and over. And I found that it was something that became an incredible icebreaker. It's something that I was able to always bring out at a party. It's something that you can connect with someone very quickly, and it's something you can do with someone who's new to kink very fast. As soon as they see that it is safe and fun and low, not just low risk, but low investment, then people get on board really fast, and it's something you can do to meet people and connect with people. And that's kind of how I did it a whole bunch. It was when I was trying to meet and connect with new people, I would always get my fire play kit out and just start playing.
I love that, and I admire that from the point of view is it's super scary for me to be to connect with strangers. Like, I have super stranger danger. I'm one of those like 75 pages negotiation girls, 5 weeks before play, a year after meeting you. So like what you're telling me, like it sends shivers down my spine, and I'm a bit in awe because it's a lot of bravery to get up there and to share yourself with others like that. I really love it. And I'm glad that Fire has given you a tool to do that and made that your community more accessible through it. And I just want you to clarify for me, because I'm on the other side of the world, and my experience with Fire is literally cooking food and burning the house down with the toaster. So maybe you can just clarify for me what fire massage is. I'm a little bit like, I have a vague fantasy idea in my head, but maybe you can connect my reality with my fantasy here.
So typically when somebody describes something as a fire massage, and sometimes they drop the word massage because in a lot of parts of the world, including where I live, I'm trying to use different terminology when I do it here, because like legally a massage is a thing that you're describing, and it's not really a massage anyway. We're not actually like taking a ton of force and putting it in someone's back. We're taking some kind of wick, some kind of it's either Kevlar or it's cotton that's carefully wound around a rod, and we take that wick and we penetrate it with alcohol and water. Usually it's about a 70-30 ratio, but we take isopropyl rubbing alcohol just straight from the store, and we take that, we light it on fire, and now we have like this torch we're holding, and we tap that on our bottom. And that drops that alcohol, that burning alcohol, onto their skin. And it's not actually their skin that's on fire, it's that alcohol that's also got that water mixed in with it. And that sensation of that burning off is incredibly pleasant to very painful, depending on how you're controlling that fire as the top, and how the bottom wants to experience it. It can be something that's very, very just no pain whatsoever, except for the occasional oops, a little bit too much alcohol there. But it can be an almost painless experience, where the top is right chasing that fire with their hands, and they're constantly applying it very lightly and very gently to, hey, let's make this about pain. And, it's going to take me a week to heal from it, but we had an intense scene, just like if we did like a crazy hard impact scene. But it is really just about that application of fire moving across somebody's back or front. Sometimes people do it standing, but usually we call it a massage because you do it basically almost always horizontal, and taking that fire, moving it around, just spreading heat around, and it's a super pleasant experience.
Thank you for humoring me. In my head, I had you like applying fire to your hands and then massaging it into the skin. So I'm glad we clarified that.
I want to figure out a way to do that. There's so many like fun toys every fire top wants to invent. Like, we all want to make like the handheld flamethrower that like shoots little bits of fire from our fingers that we then extinguish with our other hands, so that we can be doing this strange, unique thing. But like, we always fall back to a wand like that. Just somebody came up with that 50 years ago, and we've been stuck with it ever since. It's the best technique.
I saw a fire glove. Somebody sent me a video of them using like a fire glove that they set alight and then they spank with, and I was like, wow, that looks super cool. Terrifying, but super,
you could
super
do that
cool.
one time. That would not be with Oh gosh, that would have to go out soon. Yeah, I instantly in my head, I'm like, well, you could take magician's fire gloves, and I've thought about this because I've always wanted to do that. But yeah, you couldn't do that like as a long-term thing. There are lots of ways to short-term apply fire, right? Like you can throw fireballs at people with alcohol or other methods. But
Oh, that's true, because as you hit it, it would go out.
Mm-hmm.
As you spank the person, the fire would go out. I never conceptualized that. Thank you.
Well, and that's more about how long your hands can be on fire, because most magicians' fire gloves, and that's probably how this person did it. I couldn't, I'd have to know how they did it. But those tend to they can be on fire for about 20 seconds before your hand starts to burn underneath them.
Okay, that's great to know. Like, I think the one thing that's really starting to hit home to me about fire is that this is a kink that is intense in timing. Like every time I speak to one of these amazing fire tops, you guys all have this like the first burn session, the first burn stage, the second burn stage, the third burn stage, and we're talking about seconds. We're not talking about 2.5 hours or 15 minutes, or it's so quick. And like you just mentioned here, like 20 seconds. So it's starting to become quite clear to me that it takes a lot of concentration, and this is a kink that requires a lot of presence from the top, and maybe also from the bottom, but more from the top. Like the top has got to be in control of the situation and in control of the timing. So timing for me is becoming like the lead, the lead quality in being a fire top. When you look at fire play, what precautions do you take? Because you're dealing with a situation where, like you just said, you got 20 seconds until you get burned. What are the precautions? Just basically, you don't have to go through the entire lot, but what are the most important things for you from safety when you're setting up a scene?
I guess the first thing is always have a hand free. The way I do it, I have a hand chasing behind the wand, extinguishing that fire, because you don't, like you said, those burn times. If you just let that alcohol naturally burn itself out, you're going to have someone covered in first-degree burns, which some people like, but very few people actually do. Very few people want that experience. That's a 5-10 minute scene, and they've just got a bunch of little red circles all over their body. So the first thing you have is like you just want to have hands free. You want to make sure that your alcohol reservoir is in a specific spot where you're not going to accidentally tip it over, where you're not accidentally going to run into it, where you're not accidentally going to light it on fire with one of your active wands.
I feel like you're calling me out there. That's such a kitten thing to do.
Every fire top has done this. Every fire top has done this. When I teach the 101 class, I always intentionally light my reservoir on fire and blow it out as like the first and here's what you do when that happens, because you will do it. Like my reservoir is a big graduated cylinder that's for science projects where it's intentionally made to take this heat all day long in case I did light it on fire. But I have, my bottom is laying on a wool blanket that can smother out a fire. So my first recourse, if suddenly I realize, oh no, I've accidentally pooled a bunch of alcohol on their back and it's not something I can just wipe away with my hand, and this person is walking away with a 2nd-degree burn, but I don't want to hit them with a fire extinguisher, I can just smash that wool blanket right on top of them because they're laying on top of it. I've got enough slack in it that I can just, completely cover them, cover myself. I personally am not wearing anything but cotton on my body, and I'm usually wearing a full body cotton dress so that I can smother my bottom if they're alight.
That's super clever. I really like that. That's something I haven't heard before, and I think that's super clever.
Yeah, it's very, it's very normal to if you've got long hair, that gets tied off, and you always have some kind of wet barrier between a person's head and neck. I'm constantly instructing, bottoms to keep their face away from the flame when we touch fronts. But there are lots of little tiny things that are controls you build into the scene so that you don't have to actively think about them while you're performing, while you're working, so that you can just focus on that constant kind of play you're doing. So you can hone in on the activity you're doing, you can focus on your bottom and respond to them, because sometimes they'll just lay there and not tell you like, oh, this is really getting hot.
Active bottoming is like so important to me. So I really encourage my bottoms to use their voice, even if it feels like they're chopping from the bottom in the beginning, until they get some confidence. I would hope that my bottom would tell me that I'm burning them. But my bottom at the moment is my fire pit in the garden, and I'm practicing on that. What I am hearing in what you're telling me is how all of those safety aspects that are included in your scene have become automatic to you, and they've become, you can just reach out and touch them. They're not something that you're thinking about anymore. You've obviously had practice in using them. So what I'm taking from hearing you talk about your safety stuff is I need to practice that shit. Like I need a skill with using that equipment, and that equipment is part of the scene too. And as much as I need to practice using my my wands, which I don't have quite yet, we're just doing earbuds. We're on very basic baby steps. But as much as I need to practice using the actual fire tools, I need practice and skills using the safety tools as well. And they need to become part of me so that I'm not thinking that they're not a big thing to reach out for, and I'm not afraid to reach out to use them. Just hearing you talk about how you have the blanket that you can burrito your bottom with. I quite like burritoing things. That was a very cool thing for me, to burrito my pony in a fire blanket. Like, fuck the fire. I'm just really happy I can wrap him up really tightly. But they need to become skills. And when you talk about them, they're an extension of you. They don't sound like foreign objects. When I think about those objects still, because I'm very new with fire, they're still quite foreign to me. So what I'm hearing from you is, go home and practice, woman. Practice your skills on having access to all of those safety aspects, and that will improve my fire play a bit, hopefully.
You're not wrong. Practicing the mechanical skills is part of the safety of it, and that's something that it's something you can start on inanimate objects, and ultimately you do have to work your way up to humans. I had bottoms that were just risk aware when I started learning. You learn on somebody that knows, like, hey, there is a risk of me walking out of here with a 2nd-degree burn that's going to take 1 or 2 weeks to heal, that I'm going to be putting aloe vera gel on for that entire time. But that's something we all engage in, right? Like when we engage in impact play, we know there's a chance that we might get injured, and that hopefully our top is doing everything that they can in their power, and that they've taken the safety steps that they've, that they're capable of undergoing to do the same, to take that same level of precaution, care, responsibility for their bottom and themselves in the scene. I mean, this is all the basic, nuts and bolts safety stuff. It's just always present in fire play because it is a form of edge play. Even though I will tell you, I analogize to impact play all the time, because I say, like, once I get going, once my safety equipment is out, what I'm doing to you is safer than just about any impact scene you've ever been in. You're much less likely to get a major injury from this. You're much less likely to walk away with an injury that hurts in 2 days from this. But I am still constantly thinking about safety the entire scene, like we don't have to in some other forms of kink. We do in some, like, restraints and impact, but it's fire is kind of a whole new level, right? You've got just so much more that you're managing.
Yeah, and just that the timing aspect for me is so, I'm a sharps top, so I can put a needle in and then I can have a sip of my coffee and then I can quietly decide to get another needle, or I can have a break, or and with fire, like there's just not that aspect. Fire, you're thinking fire all the time, and you literally seconds between actions, which I think is definitely something that I've noticed coming into fire from a completely newbie perspective. Like the timing's fast. It's super fast. And the timing is fast for me. I was really interested to see the timing's fast also to look after your own equipment, because if your timing is not good, your equipment is going to suffer as well. So if you're not watching the burn, you end up destroying your beautiful wands or torches, or I'm not sure I'm calling them the right thing.
Yeah, same thing. wand, torch. I mean, torch is a little more ambiguous. Wand would be the most accurate term, but no one's gonna look at you funny if you call your wand a torch.
I like that. Yeah, so your timing also is coming down to looking after your own equipment, because if you don't blow out that fire towards the end, there's a risk of damaging your wand. And yeah, it's just hugely interesting for someone who hasn't been in the community to see that, and to realize that you guys are super on the ball.
You're saying this, and in my head I'm like, oh, there's also another timer running of the alcohol composition in your graduated or in your alcohol reservoir, because that is constantly evaporating, and the alcohol evaporates faster than the water. So that's something you have to keep in mind while you're doing this play, especially because the core of your wick is going to change as you keep dipping it over and over, and just alcohol burns off. Yes, there's so many of these things that are constantly running in your head that do become second nature, that it makes it kind of tough to teach sometimes, because you have to stop and say, well, wait a minute, this is something that I just naturally consider. And when I'm presenting it to an audience, I just completely, it's not even in, my outline to mention that, or at one point it wasn't, until I stopped myself and realized, oh yeah, this is a consideration that I was taught when I learned this. And you get, it becomes so second nature.
Yeah, you just fried my head again. Thank you very much. Now I have to go and research alcohol evaporation rates and then get back to you. My for science brain just went, oh, hell, I didn't even think about that. Damn, you people deal with a lot.
I keep 70 and 90 in my bag, so I can just mix up. I'm not wasting that 70. I know what my percentage is just by looking at the height of my flame.
Oh wow, that's so interesting. I would I would just be dangerous. Like anything with a very high flame in my life would be a suicidal attempt. Right now we're practicing the burrito, and we're practicing using our safety equipment, and we're doing like little like safety drills. And we're just trying to create safety from a setup perspective. We haven't actually set anybody alight. I do use flash cotton, but I think it's a bit different than using fuel and fire. And like I said to you earlier, I've literally burnt the kitchen down with a toaster, so flames in me are not great. But your fire massage it's more than fire massage. There's music involved, there's rhythm involved. Can you talk to me a little bit about how that developed, and what you and the joy that you find there, and just about the process a little bit?
Okay, so it started because I host a play party, where the gimmick of the play party, play party evolved from a weekly social gathering where my friends got together and played a music rhythm dance game. And so the music rhythm dance game just happens while the party is going. This is just a rule of the party. People are actively playing this dance game during a play party. It's how it happened. It's how the party started. And so one day I was doing a fire massage at a safe distance in that same room, and I had a small audience, and I realized, well, we all kind of just drum on our desks when we're listening to music, or drum on whatever's handy, and it became just very obvious to start tapping in time to the music as people were playing this game behind me, and I realized like I didn't just want to like tap to the people playing the game behind me. I wanted to actually have a playlist of music I really, really liked. And so I just memorized the drum line of about 2 hours worth of my favorite music. And now when I'm doing this fire massage with the bottom, I am moving completely in time with this music. Every tap, every little slide of motion, because I'm tapping, I'm sliding, I'm blowing on them, I'm doing lots of different things, but I'm doing it all in concert to whatever song is playing, and I'm switching up the song based off of how the feedback my bottom is giving me. And I do this as it's just, everybody likes it. I've never gotten a, hey, could you turn the music off, please? It's never once. I've done this hundreds of times. And
I love that. I love it. I think it's amazing to hear you talk about it, and you sound so happy. It's like your joy is coming towards me. So I'm dying to see this class. And we're really grateful at Rain of Fire to have you on our presenter list. I just want to do a quick punt for Ring of Fire. If you guys don't have a ticket, I don't know what you're doing with your life, so you should be getting a ticket. We have amazing resources. Our On Demand, which is downloadable and watch in your pajamas in your own time, is available for the month before Ring of Fire. And then we have amazing presenters like Sprinkles coming to teach us all these cool fire massage music demos and all this cool stuff that you can do with flames. And I, for one, I'm super excited. And Sprinkles, I just want to say thank you for chatting to me today, and thank you for coming to our con and supporting us as a presenter and putting the information out there.
Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you so much for having me as a presenter. I love the opportunity to share my skills and knowledge, and Fire Tops, we're all exhibitionists. I love the chance to show off. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I love that. And for all of my fire starters that are listening, guys, get your tickets. Support our panels. The panels have just gone live, so you can have a look and see. We'll be doing a tops, a bottom, and a BIPOC panel. So please support us. Please support our amazing presenters and their amazing bottoms who put up with all this heat. And from my dungeon in Cape Town, lots of love and kitten kisses.